When there's trauma in the family, it's so easy to avoid tough conversations. Hey, it's Everything Others. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, hey, uplifters. I know I've talked about my family dynamics. I've talked about a lot of things, but being in a more healed place, you look at things differently and you learn new things about yourself and the dynamics of the family. I never really talked about my trauma. When I mean I never talked about it, I never talked about it when I was a kid. I never talked about it when I was a preteen, teenager. Really talked about the situation even as an adult. First of all, it's really uncomfortable talking about something like SA, period. It's uncomfortable in itself, but when it's someone in the family, it makes it, like, for me, 10 times, 1,000 times uncomfortable to talk about the situation. It's very hard. And depending on who you talk to, people can be in denial about it, wanting it to go away. And in my case, for me personally, I just wanted it to go away. And by wanting it to go away, I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to face the reality of the situation. And I'm pretty sure a lot of my family members probably felt the same way. I didn't ask questions. I don't ask questions now. I think I've, of course, talked to my mom about the situation and her input on it, but I feel like at that time it was just like, it was fresh. It was when I first started my YouTube channel, and I think the video, I gotta link it, it's called My Mom's Perception, or my mom's point of view. I forgot the name of it. It's very old. I don't remember how it looked, so you guys can go back and look at that. But I just asked her questions and she answered the questions. I felt like I could have got deeper, but like where I was at in my healing, I don't think that it was possible to do. I honestly don't remember if anyone asked how I felt after the situation. Maybe a simple, are you okay? And when most of the time what you do is, what I do is, the answer is always just like yes, because I was uncomfortable. But also I feel like people around me were uncomfortable, so they didn't know how to ask those questions. And a lot of times, and I can only speak for me and my experience, a lot of times in Black households, we don't seek professional help. We think that it will fix itself in some way, and that's not how it works at all. It's so crazy because I kind of remember one conversation that I had with some family members when I knew that my uncle was getting out of prison. I don't remember much of the conversation, but it was like me hearing the fact that he was getting out, and I had a breakdown. Like I remember crying, and my it was female family members. They pretty much like rallied around me, and we talked, and I let out. I don't think I had said really how I felt, but I allowed them to just like talk to me or whatever. And, that was cool in itself, but I feel like that's when I was unhealed, and I didn't want to talk about the situation besides like me just crying, because I didn't know how to deal with it. And when I do not know how to deal with something, I just don't talk about it. I try to figure it out on my own. And a lot of times, I just pray about it. I write about it. I try to forget it. Especially being more unhealed, that's what I did. Once I forgave my uncle, everyone assumed that I was okay with him coming around. I didn't say anything otherwise. I didn't say anything. Like, this is how I remember it happening. Living in my own neighborhood, family was always around. Like, we were like the go-to house. cookouts, family gatherings, just people just always being around, and even other family members living in my neighborhood. So it was a gradual thing for him. Like, when I remember when I first seen him, I did a story time. When I first seen him at my workplace when I was working, and he came in there. Okay, that's the first time I seen him. Of course, like, yeah. Then I started seeing him in my neighborhood because of other family members living there. And then he would gradually come close to where I lived. And it was like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is going on? And why is everybody so welcoming to a predator? That's literally how I felt, and I was angry. Like, I didn't talk about it, but I'm pretty sure people knew that I was angry about it because of how I reacted to it. It was like, what the heck? Like, I remember myself, like, slamming the door and being mad and probably walking, like, just going to my room. And I also remember, like, a few of my family members and me walking, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, why is he even coming around like this? And I don't remember all the details of the situation, but I was just kind of venting, but not venting. I'm not one to really show emotions, but I do at the same time. I can show emotions, but I don't tell anyone how I feel about what I'm experiencing in that moment. And I am still working on that, to be honest. So once I forgave my uncle, it was like the green light for him to start coming around. And I did not speak up for myself because, for one, I didn't know how to. I was a people pleaser. And I was afraid that if I spoke up, I would be the one, in a sense, rehashing everything. If I forgave him, why can't I come around? Like, why can't he come around? And me being in a more healed space right now, at this very moment, is like, I should have spoken up for myself. I should have stood on business and said, no, I forgave him, but I'm not comfortable with him being in my space. But I feel like I had to go through that for me to get here now, where I don't accept or I don't choose to be around people that is okay with being around him and not realizing that he is a predator. And I feel like this is me just being open and honest. If you have kids and you allow someone to be around your kids that's a known predator, and just because they're family, what's wrong with you? Do you trust him? Do you watch your kids around him? Like, I don't know. I don't want to get into that, but that is avoiding tough conversations. It leaves you with unanswered questions. I choose not to have conversations about my trauma because I feel like this, if people haven't experienced it and don't have a understanding mind, they just won't get it. So I can't waste my breath on conversations that won't get anywhere. So by avoiding tough conversations, it has left me in a place of accepting the fact that things will never be how they once were, and moving on from it and being the best me that I can be in my more healed place. I deserve peace. I deserve everything good. So I choose me every single time. And tough conversations could have been had on so many parties, including myself. But by not being healed, I could not have those conversations. And when I started my YouTube channel, that's only when I realized that I had a lot of healing to do. And forgiveness is like, it's not for the person, it's for you. So like, I feel like maybe for some people, because Some people will never forgive their abuser, and that's okay. But in my case, I felt like for me, forgiveness was the first step. And at that more naive place in my life, I thought that forgiveness was me healing completely, not realizing that being around my uncle was triggering in itself. And I tried to not think about it. I try not to deal with the situation. But it caused me to not be at peace with myself. So now me, Janae, being more healed, I am okay with isolation. I'm okay with the conversations that I probably will never have. But for anyone that is dealing with trauma in the family, and if you feel like talking about it to somebody and you feel like venting about what you have experienced in the family, do it. But at the same time, do not expect much from the conversations. I'm just being honest. From my perspective of things, if people are closed-minded and they feel like family is family and you should love your family no matter what, sometimes those conversations won't get anywhere. Maybe they will. But for anyone that has experienced, this is for the parents. If your child has experienced trauma in the family, first of all, get them professional help as soon as possible. Also, you get professional help and you try to navigate the trauma with your child together to figure life out. If your child is telling you that someone has hurt them, believe them. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe.